Hello and welcome to my channel. You are watching my YouTube channel and Facebook page. Today we are going to talk about the timing on the lines. Basically, it is the way to recognize the age on the lines, at what time different events happen, but in order to calculate the timing first, we have to determine the different areas, the different mounts of the hand. So the first part of this video is going to be focused on determining the borders of the mounts, so that we can use them in order to set the timing on the lines. So first, we are going to start with the mounts. We have a hand, and on this hand, we are going to determine point A. And point A is going to be exactly at the place where the index finger meets the palm. This is point A. Point B is going to be where the thumb meets the palm. So you have A and B. Once you have A and B, you are going to be able to determine C, which is going to be halfway between A and B. Now you go to the other side of the hand, and you are going to determine point D, and D is going to be just at the place where the baby finger meets the palm, so point D. And then, using the same length as AC, you're going to put the same length on the other side of the hand, and this is going to determine point E. So right now you'll have 5 points A, B, C on one side and D and E on the other side. So then you draw a line between point C and point E, and once you have this line, you're going to determine the point between each finger. You're going to draw perpendicular lines so that they reach the line CE. So this will show you 4 squares, more or less. They are more or less square, and each one of the squares will be one of the top mount of the hand. They are Mercury, Sun, Saturn, and Jupiter. Now, once you have those 4 mounts, then you are going to use the same length on the outside of the hand, the same length between D and E, and you are going to find the point F. So you will notice on one side, you have the point B, and on the other side, you have the point F. So you are going to draw a line between these 2 points, except that you will leave the middle of the line empty. So you are going to draw a line between B and F, except that the line will be interrupted in the middle of the hand. Once you have this line, you are going to extend the 2 lines that are on the border of Mercury and Sun and on the border of Jupiter and Saturn, so that you can have Mars positive and Mars negative. Mars positive is under the Mercury finger and Mars negative is under the Jupiter finger. Next, you are going to determine the center of the hand. So now you're going to take the line between Saturn and Sun and determine at the bottom of the hand a point that will just show you the middle of the bottom of the hand. And once you have this point, you can actually draw 2 half circles. And those 2 half circles are going to allow you to determine 4 different mounts. You're going to be able to have Luna under Mars positive, Venus under Mars negative, Rahu, which will be the strange shape in the middle of the hand, and Ketu, which will be the bottom of the hand, including the wrist. And now you have all the different borders of the mounts. Now that we have the mount borders, this is going to be extremely helpful to determine the timing. Let's start with the hand with all the borders that I just showed you. You're going to notice that the vertical lines of the 4 mounts at the top of the hand are actually crossing the heart line and the head line. The heart line is the first line at the top, and the head line is the one in the middle of the hand. Just emphasize the parts where those vertical lines are crossing the heart line and the head line. Now you should have 6 points on those 2 lines, 3 on the heart lines, 3 on the head line. Those points are very important because there are very specific ages. They are the ages of 21, 42, and 63. Now, you may have noticed that those 3 numbers can be divided by segments of 7. So this is what I'm going to ask you to do. Divide the hand in segments of 7 years, so that in between 21, 42, and 63, you're going to be able to add 7, 14, and then 28 and 35, and then 49 and 56. Let's take an example. Here you can see a close-up of the middle of those lines. If you look really carefully, you are going to notice that at the age of 49, there is a branch that is coming out of the heart line and is going to the head line. So the time where the branch is leaving is very important, because it means that at this time, the person may make a very dramatic, impulsive, emotional move regardless of the consequences. Now, what happens, and this is between the ages of 49 and 56, you will notice that the heart line is being overlapped. There are actually two lines on top of each other. So there's a break, but with an overlap, which is not as bad as a break. Overlapping lines mean that there was a disappointment, and probably the disappointment started around the age of 49, which would be in line with the very impulsive move that we saw with the branch. And because the lines are overlapping, it shows that there is gradual change during the period of the overlap. So between the age of 49 and 56, this person might be going through a lot of emotional changes, but she has the potential to overcome failure. Now that we have seen the timing on the heart line and the headline, we are going to look at the lifeline. We go back to our original borders of the mounts, and we are going to look for the center of the Venus mount. We have to determine very accurately where the center of this basically round shape is. And from this point, we are going to extend a line to point D. You remember point D was the one where the baby finger was meeting the rest of the palm. And then we are going to look for another point, which is going to be the place where the palm is meeting the wrist. And we are going to call this point E. So from the point in the middle of Venus, we have an angle there. So we are going to look for the bisecting line and draw this line in the middle of this angle. Now the three lines are going to cross the lifeline at the ages of 35, 49, and 63. So again, in between, you can mark the ages of 42 and 56. And then before the age of 35, you can divide the lifeline into segments of 7 years. And this way, you can mark them all on the lifeline. Now let's take an example. Let's look at a close-up of this line, and you are going to notice that between the ages of 49 and 63, there is a very big island on the lifeline. Now, an island usually means difficulty to cope with a situation or a weakness. So in the case of this person, she will have to be careful between those two ages, because it is the lifeline, so it has to do with the body, and she may have to watch her health very carefully. However, everything that I am telling you today about the age on the lines and what's happening on the lines can be changed if you decide to change. Any break, any island, any overlapping is just a warning for you to be careful, but you can also change those lines. So now we are going to look at the destiny line. The destiny line is sometimes called the Saturn line or the fate line. It's basically the line that starts at the bottom of the hand and goes towards the middle finger. So in order to calculate the age on this line, we have to go back to the angle that we did for the lifeline with the bisecting line in between. And then we are going to determine the point between Saturn and Sun at the top of the hand, which I called point F, and then extend it to the bottom of the hand, which will be the middle of the wrist. And this point will be point G, and we can draw a line between F and G. This vertical line is going to cross the three lines of the angle that we drew before, and the ages will be 21, 28, and 35. Now, the same line is going to cross the heart line at the age of 56. And again, you can put in between the ages of 42 and 49. Because this line is very thick, let's go back to our original hand and look at a detail. So in this detail, you can see that there is an overlap of the destiny line. And this overlap is between the ages of 49 and 56. So usually the destiny line stands for determination, new goals, occupation, hobbies. Because of the overlap at the age of 49, this person may start having new goals, maybe for occupation, maybe a new hobby, a new way of using her time. And for the next 7 years until the age of 56, she will have both sets of goals.